How's everyone's morning? It's kind of early. All right, so I'm trying this prop thing for the first time. Does everyone have a name tag, 2 name tags, or 2 stickers, and, oh, awesome, that's really great. Thanks, organizers. I kind of threw that at them this morning, and I was like, guess what? And they were like, yes. So that was really awesome of them. Thanks for having me here in Buffalo. I'm really excited about learning more about the community here. I've heard a lot about Buffalo because of Build Buffalo and the really awesome stuff that they're doing here. But yeah, I'm really excited to be part of this conference. So I thought I would talk about learning together. My really ugly slide colors are trying to get like a little JavaScript in there. So it's subliminal messaging, or not so subliminal messaging. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so you guys might not like this part, but this is important because there's going to be a lot of working, a lot of activity in this talk. So can everyone stand up? Okay, great. That's awesome, that worked out well. No one really looked upset. So good morning. We're here to talk about software today, and we're here to learn from each other, and that's what this stuff is all about, right? There's a lot of people that go and they build software from 9 to 5, and guess what? We're here on a Saturday, and we're here to learn more, and we're here to learn from each other, which is really cool. So awesome that we're all here. And I just thought everyone could like stretch, maybe. Feel a little, some good stretching, get some limberness for this. Okay, all right, everyone's down. Thank you very much for hearing our morning health study. Okay, so I put the slide together, and I'm gonna take a second for you guys to read all of the acronyms. So we've got a whole bunch of them up there. They all stand for things. So if you read all of these things, if you know what every one of these stand for, raise your hand. Okay, awesome. Yeah, no, me neither. I went, and in fact, when I was doing my slides, I went online, to find a whole bunch of stuff, and I just typed in like software acronyms, right? Because I thought of a bunch myself, then I was like, I should, throw some in here, I don't know. And there's a page that came up, it's like the defining list of software acronyms. It's probably 100 per page, and there were 229 pages, which is crazy. And I'm sure every day, all day, you guys are online or you're interacting with other developers and people are throwing stuff out there like crazy, like this kind of thing. And one thing that really took me a long time when I first started out as a developer was when someone was like, oh, hey, blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, hey, Jira? And for years, I was like, yeah, oh yeah, totally, I know it all, I do it all the time. I'm like, I have no idea what I was talking about. I'm like, but I was so embarrassed, like, I don't want to say that I don't know something, I probably should know, like, why don't I know? Like, this is ridiculous. So it took me a long time to be like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about, actually. And what I realized, like, the first time when I did that, I realized that, like, the person wasn't like, oh, well, why am I working with you then, So it really wasn't, it was scary in the beginning, but yeah, now I'm really great at being like, nope, no idea what you're talking about. So yeah, I also found this acronym, was like, what are there's like a ton of these, and in case you're curious, no idea. Someone in some office somewhere is like looking to the person next to them, and they're like, a stitch figure is that? Like, oh yeah, totally. That is. Okay. All right, so now we're going to use our name badges and get to some work. Okay, so if you can grab the red name tag. If you don't have one, can you raise your hand? Oh wow, that's really awesome. Everyone has one. So if you don't have a marker, there's someone near you that has a marker, so there's no rush to this, so if everyone could just get ready to write on this thing. And I want you to think about the thing that you are the worst at that you want. There's some things that you're bad at that you really don't care about. Like I am bad at writing technical documentation, and it is not a priority for me because that does not sound fun. But there are things that I really want to be, so I put together a list so that if anyone wants any ideas. So I'll give you guys a minute, write on your red name tag something that you want to be better at, that maybe you're not so great at. Or maybe not even, you don't know anything about it at all, you've just heard of it, it sounds cool, and you would want to try it. So I'll give you guys a minute. Can I bug you for one? I don't think I have one, and I should have gotten one first. Is there someone back there that can? And then oh, awesome. That's great. Should have come in that way. Thank you very much. I don't. All right. Thanks. All right. I'm gonna write mine while you guys write. Okay, does anyone need some more time or like a few extra seconds to think about what you're bad at? I'm pretty sure all of us are bad at it. Okay, all right, I got mine. So the next step is stick it on your shirt. So I am bad at writing text. I am not only bad at doing it, I just don't know. The way I write tests is I read the tests that other people have written. I'm like, oh, okay, this is... So I've never sat and I've never spent a lot of time trying to learn more about writing tests. And I think writing tests are super important. I never think, oh, you know, this doesn't matter. And I'm always like, I should be better at this. But it's not something I'm great at, it's something I want to be better at. So, okay, wow, got a lot of stickers. Okay. So first of all, I think we should give ourselves a round of applause because we're all sitting here with things that we are bad at on our shirts. That is great. That's the first step, I think. And so, like, you might wonder, and I wonder if this is the same in every field. It might be. I'm always, you know, comparing software to other fields and being like, oh, it's so different. But who knows? It might be the same everywhere. But there's a reason why it can be scary. And everyone here put their stickers on really fast, so I don't know if it's scary at all. But there's a reason why in software it can be really scary to admit that you're bad at something. And that is because of the well actually monster. As I've experienced the well actually monster a lot. And that is like someone next to you where you're talking about something, and it might be something that like you know really well, or it might be something that you might not know so well, and the person next to you is like, well, actually, you know, that's not it. Like, well, actually, you're talking of the wrong version of Rails. Or like, well, actually, I think you're thinking of that function is not packaged with JavaScript. And you're just like, oh yeah, well, that doesn't make you feel great. And that person just won, right? Like, you're in the room, you're talking to a bunch of people, and you're like educating folks, and they sit there and they're like, well, actually, and you know, now, I mean, I had this happen to me like last week, where someone had come up to me to talk about Nodebots stuff, which is something that I'm going to talk about, but, and someone was like standing next to me and overheard what I was saying, and just kind of like took a step in and was like, well, actually, I think blah, 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 blah. And they talked for like 15 minutes, and I was like, oh, all right, well, that's fine. You know, like, that's whatever, you know, I was just, whatever. So that could be rough, and it can be embarrassing, right? When someone well actuallys you, it's embarrassing. Well actually was made by a guy, well, kind of coined by a guy named Miguel de Casa. And there's actually a well actually cat website. But he wrote a really good blog about it, about what to do if you experience a well actually and why those things aren't welcome. I find much better than a well actually is like, you know, in case you're looking for tips, is a, well, what do you think about, those are always great. Because that doesn't say, well, you're wrong, and I'm going to tell you why. It says, well, this is what I think, and I'd really like to know your opinion about it. So you think that what do you think about is much better than a well, actually, always. And it's hard because it's hard putting yourself out there as an expert, right? Because none of us, I mean, what's an expert, right? There's so much to learn about software. There's so many acronyms. There's no way to know, unless you maybe invented something, there's no way to know everything. And even at that point, once you've made something that is really accepted in the software community, other people are working on it too. So someone might do something and you don't know, So it's really impossible to know everything about something. And it can be really hard to get better at things. One of my favorite phrases that I like to remind myself is try to suck a little less every day. Every day, try to be a little bit better than you were the day before. I always attribute this to Jeff Atwood. I no longer know if he said that or not. So I may have made that up. But yeah, so it's less daunting when you're like, I'm going to learn this new thing, or I'm going to get better at this thing. And it's not, next week I'm going to be amazing at it. It's like tomorrow, I'm not going to be so bad at it. Maybe the next day, not as bad as the day before. I'll tell you a story about my own life about something that I wanted to get good at that was pretty scary, and I did it. Well, I did it. I'm still doing it as something I'm still working on. But I was really surprised at how far I'd come in a year. So does anyone know what the node knockout is? Right? Does anyone, I'm sure the Rails Rumble, you guys know, is it the Ruby Rumble or the Rails Rumble? Rails Rumble, right. You guys know what the Rails Rumble is, I'm sure. I'm more in the JavaScript community, and we copied you guys. So you guys invented it. And so the node knockout is something really similar, where it's, last year we had 700 teams around the world competing against each other. GitHub repositories, the whole thing of, there's like 7 different prizes, and of stuff, of building an app over a weekend. So I had this idea, so I really wanted to mess with hardware, and I had never messed with hardware before. I had never touched it, and it looked really cool, like the Arduino stuff, and like getting familiar with all the parts, and learning what I needed. So I was like, I got a team together of my friends, and I was like, I've got this idea, you guys. Why don't we make a Christmas sweater that like flashes a lot and talks to the internet somehow? Like we can tell it to like flash from the internet or something. I think that would be really cool. It's fun to make. So my friends were like, yeah, that sounds super fun. I'm sure we can do it. Like just get the parts. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get the parts. I went online on SparkFun, and I was like, it looks like I'll probably need some lights. And there's like this lily pad Arduino that you can order that like it's sewn into shirts, and I was like, I'll probably need that. I'm not quite sure what it's for, but it seems like an important part of this. So I ordered some lights, I ordered a lily pad, some resistors, just like everything I kind of knew needed to be part of it. And I'm like, well, if we don't do it, this will probably be fun, right? Like we can't figure it out. Well, awesome thing, the week before one of our team members needed to drop out, and we replaced her with so a hackathon we had participated in a month beforehand was like a Nojitsu hackathon. I forget what it was called, but the guy that had won it had done some really cool stuff with video. It was called You Laugh, You Lose, and like you were on a shared video screen with someone, and they showed you funny GIFs, and the first person to laugh lost. And it like detected your smiles and stuff. So this is like really valuable uses of weekends. Changing the world. So we were like, his name is Francis, and we were like, hey Francis, we'd really like you to be on our team. We're going to do this hardware thing. And he's like, oh yeah, I went to school for mechanical engineering. And we were like, good. Glad. And so he joined our team, and turns out that he actually also joined our team at Levo League a few weeks later because he had such a great experience, along with his friend Eric, who also had an awesome experience. We all worked together for that weekend. So we went into it, and to be honest, I kind of like floated around all weekend. I was like, my job was sewing in LEDs. I sewed in LEDs, and actually that part of it didn't even work by the end. But I got to learn a lot. I got to enable cool people to do what they do. This is our beautiful homepage that we made. You can't see it really because of the resolution, but that's a MIDI player on the left. And we had a guest book and everything. It was really awesome. And we worked all weekend. It was like a really, it was a really neat event, and I learned so much. This is a shield called a lull shield that stands for lots of LEDs. And basically what you need to do, that's Francis and Eric. It's so great because we're all really close now after working together for a while. This is like the first weekend we spent together. It's cool to look at these pictures. Francis is making, so the complicated thing is like loading fonts onto the LOL shield because you need to translate like what letters are and things like that. So that was really neat. And so we did that. And this is Brenda, our designer, working on our site. There's a lot of dancing animation, like dancing Christmas animals and stuff. The end result was the sweater, and I actually pulled up a video, so we'll see if it works out, because I know I'm stealing internet from kids right now.
This is important.
So yeah, you're not going to get the music, so you can't get the full effect, but this is our amazing sweater that we ended up with. This is our video that we had to make. And basically you go to the website and you type something in and it just shows up on the sweater. Pretty much completely useless in every way, but still pretty awesome. So yeah, is she going to show? Oh no, it's just, okay, awesome. Just some more poses. That's for Shane, she's on our team. She's also on our team at Lego League. She's an awesome developer. So we actually won. We won the innovation prize for the Node Knockout, which is so awesome. But more than anything, I won getting to learn about Arduino. First of all, the parts that I ordered, we needed a lot more parts. So Francis got there and he's like, all right, so yeah, we're gonna need to do some shopping. And good thing we were in New York because you can go buy them, because there's not a lot of places you can go buy these parts. So that was a year ago, and so for the past, but it was really fun. I really enjoyed it, and so immediately I bought an inventor's kit for Arduino after that, and I played around with it a bunch. I've been working on a natural language thing for Twitter and changing colors of an LED based on what people are tweeting, and now I'm working on jewelry around that, and I also made a build indicator that is green when your build is passing and checks GitHub, and it's red when it doesn't. That's on my GitHub. So it's really neat. And now this is last week when I was talking about at JSConf about my build indicator. That's my big, that's my business toolbox I now have, which basically makes me an expert. No one on the plane likes that. I'm pretty sure people don't know how bombs work because everyone on the plane was like a bunch of wires and things. And now I'm on Team Nodebots, which is so cool. Team Nodebots, there's this really neat library called Johnny 5, you should check it out. I know that there's something similar for Ruby as well, and even Python, where usually Arduino you build in C++, but some people were like, this is annoying, so they built libraries for handling it. So you can do things like servo.turn.20 degrees, and servo turns 20 degrees, which is exactly what you want. So you definitely check those out. And we go and we do events around hardware. My slides are. Oh, I tried to, did you see the video? Yeah. Okay, good. I'm glad no one was humoring me. Great, that was awesome. Yeah, I was just showing you Nodebots. So it's nodebots.io. So if you're interested in doing anything like that, feel free to check it out. All right, now where's my mouse? Okay, so, all right, next. So here are just some tips that I've run into. I'm sure you run into, but we can always use some good resources. So, everyone learns differently. And that's in the beginning of Girl Develop It, I taught all of the classes, and I was a terrible teacher. I'm really glad. We're really fortunate to have people that are much better at it, both running the chapters and teaching the classes. But I mean, I was a terrible teacher because I assumed that everyone learned the way I did, right? And I learned by watching people do things. So I often will watch videos online or something like that. And not everyone works that way. So when I was sitting at the front of the room and I was like, all right guys, watch, I'm HTMLing, this is great. You're gonna do this soon. You know, some people were like, well, where are your slides? And I was like, well, I don't think like learning with slides is like that effective, you know? But it turns out everyone learns differently. So you might be someone that reads, and that's how you learn things. I don't know if anyone reads the Head First books. I love the Head First books. The O'Reilly books. I don't get the animal thing. I don't think I'll ever get it. It's kind of weird. I don't know. But it's pretty. And blog posts, everyone. There's a lot of blog posts out there. Often I'll learn from a blog post as well as a video because you can go, you can, usually they're pretty short. I don't know about you guys. Some people are very good at reading technical books. Like you'll have these books that are this thick. And I think that's really awesome because I think what that does for you is give you a really in-depth knowledge of the subject that you're learning. I have read the first 2 chapters of a lot of technical books. And then I kind of get lost, so it's something I'm very jealous of. And then you can get familiar by doing things. And there's a ton of stuff online for you to do. So Ruby cones, this is how I learned Ruby. And I thought they were super effective. Khan Academy, Rails for Zombies, Journal Assemblies classes. Noteschool.io is a new platform to learn Node on. So that just came out this week, so I think it's pretty cool. So there's a ton that you can do online to get more familiar with something that you're challenged at. And then past that point, there are lots of ways to master something. And what's great about this community especially is when we have a whole environment surrounding open source. And the neatest thing about open source is that you have an opportunity to not only build something with what you've learned, but get feedback from lots of people, either by contributing to a public repository that has a lot of contributors, or starting your own thing and building something and tweeting it and passing it to your friends. And I think that's really neat because it's a way for us to get feedback about what we're building and share the things that we're learning. So I think it's a really neat aspect of our community. And also the thing about contributing to larger public libraries is that you get to learn from some of the greatest people that currently are in the profession, right? Because you can go to something that they've worked on, and it takes a lot of work, right? You want to do it correctly and in a way that they'll appreciate, where it's helpful and not annoying. But you get to contribute to their library, and they might say, hey, here's some feedback, here's a way to get a little better. Or they might be like, this is awesome, and then you can just be like, whoa, that's the best. I don't think that's ever happened to me though, so I don't know if that actually happens. So building something and getting something out there and tinkering is a great way to master the stuff that you're trying to improve and the stuff that you're trying to work on. Another mastering method is to teach. And teaching is a great, just an amazing way to learn something. Because you need to know, right? Because people are going to ask you questions. And you should probably know the answer to those questions. So you're going to make sure, and especially like when you're building curriculum and you're going through, you learn a ton. When I go, there's a lot of classes in New York, and there's this Build Develop It basic HTML class. And I've been doing HTML for probably 12 years. And every time I go to that class, I learn something new. So these people have studied this for a while, put this curriculum together, and it's educational for them, it's educational for me, and it's a great service. There's just a world And I'm not sure which one of these you have in Buffalo, but there's a world of different organizations that you could volunteer to teach with that are helping lots of people. There's Black Girls Code, there's Code Now, there's Girls Who Code, there's Coder Dojo, which is really awesome. They work with kids. There's Girl Development, which Girl Development is here in Buffalo, is run by Elena that I'm really excited about meeting in person. I've seen her in Google Hangouts. And we have Julie Padano here today from Pittsburgh as well. So our chapter leaders are the people that you want to go to, you want to help. They're the people they're the organization, right? Like in New York, we scheduled a class and we just taught some classes. But the Girl Development chapter leaders are the people that are bringing it to the world, and they're the people that are working with our students, and they're the backbone of the organization. So if you want to help Girl Develop it, please reach out to one of them in your area. And there's also user groups. Like, you don't have to go teach kids in order to, it can be a big commitment, or teach adults. You can volunteer to speak at your local user group. And that's another way, to learn. And you know what? Someone gave me a really good tip the other day that I'm going to share. Because I'm sure if you speak at user groups, the biggest fear, I once sat through I don't know if you guys have ever had the experience of sitting in a user group talk that someone in the audience gives, right? Like, someone will be up presenting, and someone in the audience will be like, well, actually, and then like, every question that gets asked, the person in the audience is like, well, let me answer that. And you're just like, what's going on right now? So someone gave me a tip the other day that if you're speaking about a technology and someone asks you a question and it's something that you maybe not know, or you're not 100% sure on the answer, you can either, what I've often done is say, hey, I don't know that. Does anyone here know the answer to that? Because, I'd love to learn. That can be scary though, so another way to deal with it is saying, that's a great question, let's circle back after this. Maybe after this you can circle back and be like, I don't know, but I'd love to learn with you, let's Google it, or something. But that was me. And then another mastering method is to find a mentor of some of the thing that you're working on. And that's like a level 2, right? Because the people that are mentors want to know that you've done your research first. And they want to know that you're learning this on your own before you start asking them questions, right? Because if you ask them like super newbie questions, they're going to be like, well, maybe you should like read a blog post or read a book or anything, But once you get to a certain level, you can level up by finding someone that's good at it. Like with me, Francis, for hardware stuff, I'm always asking him questions. He's really great at it, and I really admire his ability to just jump in there and get started. So anytime I have a question for him, I make sure I do all my research. But then I'll ask him, and it's like a great, it's a great resource. So a mentor, or even just like a friend to study with, or someone you want to learn together. It's really hard to motivate yourself when you're alone. But when you've made a commitment to a friend, like, okay, we're both going to be here, we're both going to have X done by this day. It's harder to break that commitment. Me and my brother were doing that for a little while. We call each other every week and be like, did you do your thing? I did my thing. Did you do your thing? And it was a great way to keep each other accountable. Okay, so now we're going to use those other name tags. And I'm going to pull up, so what we're going to do with the other name tag is we're going to write down something that we are good at to make us feel a little better for the thing that we're bad at. So write down another name tag, something that you feel is a strength that you know about software. It could be anything. So I'm going to do mine, you guys do yours. So mine is JavaScript libraries. So I like to think that I've been using JavaScript libraries for a long time. And so I think it's something I'm pretty decent at. Okay, so that was our second step. So that's now, oh, I forgot to tell you, put that one on your shirt too, if you haven't already. My hair and JavaScript libraries. Okay, so here, oh, and I forgot to put up the examples. So if you didn't have one, there's some examples of things you could be good at. So if you want to change your mind. Okay, so before the last step, which we're almost done here, I think that when you're in a group in front of a group of people, it's really great to make a commitment so that you have to do it. So I'm going to do it from up here, and you guys can do it then there. So when it comes to tests, this is something I've been like going back and forth about for a while. Like I said, I did Ruby cones, and I know how tests work, and I know how to write tests, but the difficult part for me is there are people that can look and can say, I know all the tests that need to be written for this function, and I have a lot of difficulty with that. So I am going to pledge that in the next year, I will write a blog post about tests and how to understand what tests to write when you're building a function. So that is my pledge. And I encourage you guys, with your thing that is bad right now, and you don't have to say it, you don't have to write it anywhere, but to put a goal together for the next year of how you're going to get better at that thing. So I'll give you a second to think about that. And then, I don't know if you guys saw this coming. Do you see this coming? So, next step is look around, talk to each other. You have two things on you, something you're good at and something you're bad at. You have an opportunity to find someone that is good at what you're bad at, or someone that is bad at what you're bad at. And that person, so you can either find someone that can mentor you to get better, or you can find someone that can work with you on doing a study group or an email, keeping each other accountable and things like that. So I encourage you to do so. Yep, we have 10 minutes, I believe. So we have 10 minutes, everyone walk around, say hi, and see if you can match these guys. It's the first time I'm trying this, so who knows. But it would be really neat if out of this today, we all walked out with some action items around how to get better at the things that we are bad at. So, thanks guys, and talk to each other.